It's Tuesday, May 7th. I'm Adam Walsh, and this is The Signal. The day you have been waiting for is here. We did it, folks. We made it through another winter. The preseason is over. Today is the first day of the gardening regular season, and I've got an all-star guest here. Horticulturist Ross Travers of Travers Gardens is here. And folks, if you want to join the conversation, right? So it's questions. If you want tips, if there's a tree that you think needs just to be hit with a stick to get it to grow fruit, if you want that advice, Ross has it for you. And if you just want to call us and update us on what your plans are for the season, right? Looking back at last year, how you did, right? Looking ahead to this year, what your hopes are, and where you think those hopes may go. And it's from you name it, right? So the stuff we eat, the stuff we look at and smell, everything is here to talk about for gardening season. So 709-722-7111, 1-800-563-8255. The text line, 709-327-8206. Emails, thesignal@cbc.ca. For texts and emails, keep the question simple. If it's more complicated, give us a call. Have a chat with us. How you doing?
Good.
Welcome. Happy spring 2024.
Right, yes. Things are starting to leaf out.
Yes, no, it's looking around. There's some there's stuff that's alive kicking around. I think I'm there. The slow creep of spring in Newfoundland and Labrador. And folks, I know, it varies across the province. Like right now, Labrador City, 3 degrees. I think it's light flurries. But you know what's great to do on a day when it's only 3 degrees with, flurries or rain showers? Listening to a gardening show and plan.
Right.
Plan to plant. So what have you been up to?
Just getting started now with some transplants.
There you go.
And I was out a few days ago and dug 30 pounds of parsnip.
30 pounds of parsnip. Right on. Yeah. Nice.
And with the price of parsnip in the supermarket now, it's an amazing.
Oh, you're sitting on a fortune.
No, but with parsnip, of course, they really improve over the winter because the frost brings out the sweetness in them.
Mm. So now's the time to be at that, if you have some, that is, right? Yeah. So for the planting. So 30 pounds, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
You got a book update for us too, right?
Yes, I finally got my gardening book online. I'm in cyberspace now.
Because I've only been doing this for a couple of years, but every season, I think this is like my third year doing it, every season people phone and they're like, hey, what about your book, right? Ask Ross Travers about gardening.
Yes, and I was promising people that I would eventually get it online. And as luck would have it, then I did manage to get it on Amazon.
Yep.
And so now just simply type in on Amazon website, type in Ross Travers, and up it'll pop, the book.
Oh, yeah. No, I've got it right here now on it, right? Ask Ross Travers about gardening. Practical advice for gardeners in a cool climate. And yes, it is a cool climate indeed, right? When did you write this book?
Oh, that was back, probably about 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, because I know it's your book. I know Todd Boland's book's really popular. So there's a few of the local really talented gardening crowd that've got books that are super, super popular.
The interesting thing is that I kept a record of most of the questions I was asked over the years.
Oh, that's great.
And also, I wrote for the Evening Telegram, and I wrote for Wash, and some other magazines. Mm. And so I kept all these questions, and they're real questions. Right?
Yeah. So, what are some of the questions that what's the most common question over the years that you've gotten?
Moss in the lawns.
Okay. Yeah. So how to get rid of it?
Yeah, how to get rid of it.
Has there been an evolution with that? Because I know some folks now, like having moss on their lawn, right? Like there's a bit of a shift with some. Now, some are very much like, no, I need it to be my lawn a certain way, but others seem to be more interested in having moss.
Well, there's no doubt about it that grass is the most resilient when it comes to playing on and walking on.
Yeah.
But moss underneath trees and that sort of thing, there's nothing wrong with it. In fact, there's so many different species of moss that you can get different colors in the area.
Oh, yeah. When we were, here, another Japan story, but like when my wife and I were living in Japan, we went to, we had lunch in this spot in Kyoto. And
Yes.
like, so we're in this, I think that like the building, the restaurant that it was in is like a few hundred years old anyways, right? So you're there and you're looking at this Japanese garden and all the moss, and it's just the most beautiful thing. But also, though, reminded me a bit of home in a way because, we're not short on moss in these parts. And I love looking, like going for a walk and just being, in a mossy type area. It's great.
Yes, I saw, when I was in Japan, I saw the nurseries that have sods of moss for sale. Right?
Yeah, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but different folks, right? You have different tastes, and stuff changes over time from what people want.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a piece of tape I want, because we've been talking. We talked last year about this, and then even just emailing you to check in on this season, right? Like, because you've been doing this with CBC for over 50 years.
Yes.
That's a long time, right?
Well, it doesn't seem that long. But
well, I was joking with the crowd upstairs. I was just like, well, A, for having the patience to deal with us for 50 years, you deserve a medal. So thank you very much. All the calls.
It's been a pleasure.
Good. I've got this. It's only 2 minutes, a 2-minute piece of tape. But this was back in so this was back kind of when I first started. So just after I started, 2012. When Traverse Gardens, when you closed it, right? But this is the news. So we've got that news piece here. It's just 2 minutes. The reporter is, everyone will obviously know, new host of On the Go, former host of the morning show, Chrissy Holmes. So here's Chrissy taking a visit to Traverse Gardens back in 2012.
It's a gardening empire. 5 greenhouses, 2 acres of manicured nature trails, and a highly successful retail operation. But Ross Travers says it's time to cut back.
I looked at my birth certificate.
Ross Travers has been running his business in Torbay for 35 years. He's also a consultant, a scientist, an author, and an expert in everything related to growing in a cool climate.
Traverse Gardens.
Travers takes calls all hours of the day from all over the province, and he's heard a lot of stories. Some of his favorites are about strange bugs.
She said, I don't know, she said, but I got a great big head and a big long body, and she said, I'm going to spray it anyway.
Travers says the trick to having a green thumb is to work with the environment. And if you do it right, you don't need a lawnmower. Travers doesn't even own one.
Walking around the grounds here, it's not hard to tell that a lot of sweat and years have gone into the gardens. But make no mistake, Ross can't take credit for it all.
Yes, it is true that I'm the boss.
Marcy Travers left her job as a nurse to help her husband run the business. It changed her life. But gardening is hard work.
I have developed arthritis, and I find it very difficult now in doing all the labor.
This Saturday will be the last day customers can buy things at Travers Gardens.
My wife said the last day, she said she doesn't want me around.
It's because she knows it will be an emotional day.
I've decided I think I can handle this situation better than him.
He won't be here when the gates close on the retail operation, but he assures us he'll still be around. Travers wants to answer questions on the internet, continue consulting, and work on some new books, and maybe even stop to enjoy the fruits of his labors at home with his wife in Travers Gardens. Chrissy Holmes, CBC News, Torbay.
Thank you, 2012 Chrissy Holmes, for that report.
Yes.
Yeah, it's when you work at the CBC sometimes, we've got archives. So I was just like, what? I wouldn't mind just digging in. And then this one came up, so I thought I'd play it. How's the Enjoying Life bit been going since 2012? Like we talk, you seem to be enjoying life great.
Oh, yes, pretty good. I still maintain our own personal garden.
Oh, yeah.
And I've got quite a collection of rhododendrons now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and it's varieties that I've never grown before, and these rhododendrons do well in our climate.
Yeah, I mean, I've been there chatting with you. It was like, I guess 3 summers ago now, and it's amazing. I mean, your gardens are amazing. When the road, like, when's peak bloom for the rhodos, anyways?
Usually around the middle of June, the latter part of June. Okay. It depends on the weather conditions, of course.
Yeah, right. Like if early summer shows up, middle of June,
and you can extend the season of flowering by having different varieties, because some varieties are starting to flower now.
Yeah. Wow. Right on.
And you will get flowers then right up until the latter part of June for sure.
Okay. I was just putting something in my calendar for a reminder to come out and visit your gardens for when the rhodos are out.
Yes.
Typing that in. Visit Ross. Hold on. This is good radio, folks. Visit Ross as I type it in my calendar. Rhodos. Everyone, it's gardening day. We're back. First day of the regular season. If you've got grow questions, Ross Travers is here to answer them. And if you just want to tell us what you're growing or hoping to grow this season, 709-722-7111, 1-800-563-8255. Texts 709-327-8206. Emails thesignal@cbc.ca. So what is it about the rhodos that you like so much?
They're pretty carefree. If you get them in the right location, contrary to what the textbooks will tell you that they do best in partial shade, they do best in full sun in Newfoundland.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Which is partial shade.
Partial shade.
Yes. Question. I was talking to Michael Murray a couple weeks ago for the preseason
Right. Yes,
show,
I heard that. Yes.
Yeah. So I asked Michael for some advice around. I've got a little tiny rhodo in my backyard, right? So we bought a new spot. I looked back late November. I was like, oh, look at that, a little Charlie Brown type rhododendron. Excellent. I was looking at it this morning, prepping for the show. There's some brown spots on the leaves. Should I be concerned about that?
No.
Okay.
No. Sometimes that happens, but there's very, very few. They're pretty disease free. Sometimes you get scorching from the winter winds and that sort of thing, and that they usually grow out of that.
Okay, all right. I'll just keep watching. Michael gave me some really good tips around just to kind of move some grass from around it, which I've yet to.
That's right. Yes, a good mulch around and.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. That's on my homework to-do list. I'm trying to get at it maybe this weekend. Right. So there's that. That was one question I had about Michael, and I wanted a follow-up question from the last show from a couple weeks ago, because Michael Murray told me a story that him and his wife went to visit you folks with a question, because I think it's cherry trees that weren't growing fruit.
Oh yeah.
And you told him,
beat it with a stick.
All right. I want your explanation on why, because Michael Murray was like, I had to look around and make sure no one could see me. And he took a baseball bat
yes.
and did some. So what's the point of hitting, if you've got like cherry trees or something that are not producing fruit, why would you hit them with a stick or a bat or something to help shock the system?
Yes, well, of course you want them to bloom as soon as possible, but young trees usually have what we call a juvenile state, where they put on a lot of growth and don't set flower buds. So by slowing down the growth, and that if you sometimes you can just physically remove, say, a quarter of the bark on the trunk, and that slows down the growth. But if you just simply damage the bark with a stick,
That's amazing. I am picturing Michael Murray out now, like beating up his trees with a stick. So he did, and so we'll wait and see now for an update this season as to what may work.
But I wouldn't recommend it to everybody.
No.
You know, usually you want some good growth on the young tree anyway, and so it's better to let it grow to the point where it settles down and then produces flower buds and fruit.
This is advice for trees, not children, folks. So just to be clear on that, and even then, only hit your trees with sticks sparingly. It looks like we've got a caller coming on the line there. We've got Paul calling from St. John's. Hi, hey, first caller of the regular gardening season. Congratulations. How you doing?
Great, thanks. Maybe Ross can come in and do some work for me. That's a surprise. No, my question is, I have a pin cherry tree that's about 40 years old, about 30 feet high, and I want to prune back some of the branches. Well, actually, only one of them. And I was wondering if this would be the time of year to do it, or when would be appropriate.
Yeah, this is the time of the year to do it. It could have been earlier, but it's no problem now. And
Okay.
but you just want to try and create sort of a umbrella effect. Like the branches spread out rather than go up straight. So if you can prune it back so that you got the branches spread out. And then the light can penetrate the center of the tree, so that you get more fruit production.
Okay, and Ross cut it on an angle as opposed to like a straight cut. Does that make any difference? Or
Not really, because usually they're not. The branches are not right straight up anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good. And I don't know if this question came up already, but regard to fertilizer around the plants, would this be the time to do it?
A bit early for fertilizer, but
Yeah.
you can apply some lime. Sometimes it might be beneficial to take a crowbar or some a digging fork and make some holes around the drip line of the tree, and then apply some lime and wash it in, and that would help. And then of course,
I see.
And then some fertilizer later on, another couple weeks when the weather warms up.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. Sounds like good advice.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Yeah.
Very good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Bye-bye. All right.
All right, there you go. If you've got a question like Paul or an update for us, for myself, well, for Ross Travers, not for me, because I won't know the answer. But Ross is here with all the answers. 709-722-7111, 1-800-563-8255. Text line for simple stuff. If it's complicated, give us a call. 709-327-8206. And emails, thesignal@cbc.ca. We've got Jackie Feltham on the line calling from St. John's. Hi, Jackie.
Hi, good day. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good, thank you. And I have a question for Ross, please.
Yes, Jackie.
How are you doing, Ross?
Good.
Very good. Is there any, probably a stupid question, but I'm going to get your view on it. Is there any way, in God's name, of killing a dandelion? But I've got, due to health issues the last couple of years, I haven't been able to get out and be as at the garden as I want it to be.
Right.
I think this year I can manage that. So a lot of them actually got established before I got to get them while they were still infants.
Right. Fortunately or unfortunately, the chemicals that were available for weed control in lawns is pretty limited now. And,
yes, by the way, I have a beehive, so I really don't want to use chemicals.
Right. And other than manually eliminating them and mowing them so that they don't go to seed, that's the other.
Yes, I do that.
That's the other important thing. And then keeping the grass leaving 3 inches of grass after you finish mowing, so that you create a situation where a lot of the weeds that are going that are germinating will be smothered out by the grass if it's tall.
Now, I'm more concerned about the ornamental gardens in that I don't really mind them in the lawn that much.
Right.
Again, having a beehive, they're good things, and they're only ugly for a couple of weeks of the year, so I can tolerate that.
Right.
But it's the ornamental gardens they've got established, and basically some of them are monster size now.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is organizing the area so that in squares or other ways of organizing it, so that you do a section at a time, so you don't get overwhelmed with trying to do the whole thing at once.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay. The thing is, I mean, realistically, my soil is pretty good, but it's still hard to get all of the root, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Unless you have a way of suggesting it, but
no.
Can you kill them with solarization? Like I was thinking about taking a dark bottle, like a peanut butter bottle, and putting over them for a year or two.
Well, that can help, but they're pretty resilient and have a very big fleshy root system, so
yes,
they can pop back pretty quick.
Yeah, they don't want to die. I know that.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I say control. Now, I don't expect them to be eradicated.
No,
but,
as long as you can try and eliminate the seed sources.
Yeah.
I know that's difficult if you're in a neighborhood where there's a lot of dandelions next door and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, actually, not too bad in that respect, because it drives me crazy that the neighbors sterilize everything.
Right.
They won't even have an ant there, for God's sake. So I'm not too. That's not as big an issue. And I mean, there's a few around everywhere, and there's lots of seeds on them.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Well, other interesting thing about dandelion is that it's in some. We used to pick dandelion for greens this time of the year because they're quite edible. But they get bitter when they get close to flowering. So, but I've seen elsewhere where dandelions are growing and they put a black container over the dandelions and exclude the light, and so you get a very mild flavoring greens.
Okay.
Yeah, so you exclude the light. Yeah.
Okay, but they still come back.
But delicious dinner plans, Jackie.
Yeah, I know. I don't get into vegetables that much, so that's how I don't really. Don't think I'd use them that way. But anyway, I appreciate your direction there, Ross. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for the call, Jackie. Bye. Jackie Feltham there, calling from St. John's. If you want to join the list of calls for today for questions for the first big game of the season for gardening season, 2024. The numbers to call, 709-722-7111, 1-800-563-8255. Texts 709-327-8206. The signal at cbc.ca. Dandelion pesto is fantastic.
Yes.
Love it. My wife and I have done it, but when I say my wife and I, my wife's made it a couple times. Right. I cook too, just I haven't done the pesto yet. And even when they're bitter, we still like it. Even afterwards, we're fine the whole summer long.
Yeah,
it's really good. Delicious stuff. Get a couple of text questions in, Ross. What is the best soil to have successful flowering for peonies? We've heard a lot about the importance of companion planting. Is there something that helps support a beautiful bloom for them? Is there an alternative that is better suited for Newfoundland that may have a similar looking flower?
Well, as far as the soil is concerned for peonies and any other perennials and that sort of thing, the most important thing is the drainage, so that you don't plant in an area where it's going to be waterlogged, especially during the winter when the ice forms and can kill the roots. But peonies have a big fleshy root and very long-lived, so that once they're established, it's usually no problem. Maybe a little bit of fertilizer, some lime in the spring, but otherwise they're there's a lot of different varieties, of course, of peonies, and you can pick and choose. There's some really fragrant ones, and there's ones that have really bicolors, and there's lots of different varieties.
It's so nice sitting around summertime at like a picnic table, barbecue going, peonies are out. It's perfect. Perfect.
Yeah. Of course, support is an important thing because of the large bloom.
Yeah, because where we used to live, there's a little garden outside, and you get one like no one was really looking after them a whole lot sometimes, and you get one to come up, and then next thing you know, it is
blown over in the wind.
Gone. Yeah.
But you can buy the actually wire cages that can support peonies.
And companion planting, is there anything folks should be thinking about for companion planting with peonies?
Well, not really.
No, just ensure the drainage and right, as long as the root system is everything's established.
That's right. Yeah. Yes, and organic matter, of course, in the soil. A good mulch.
Yeah.
Is always beneficial.
This is mulch season now, right?
Yeah.
All right. So folks are into mulch season. So if you're not mulching, get out there. Well, maybe not. Oh, geez. I'm just looking at the parkway. It is also rain's coming down in St. John's. Let's go back to the phones. We've got Janet on the line calling from St. John's. Hi, Janet.
Hi. I was calling in about food. I'm about to eat my lunch, which has got buckwheat groats in it. And that made me wonder about, I knew someone once who was a buckwheat farmer in Nova Scotia. So I thought, okay, maybe that's something we can grow here. And so I'm wondering about some of those grains we buy, which ones you'd recommend to try and grow here, like flax and quinoa. I know some of these things grow in Canada, but how do we make out here?
Yes, well, buckwheat is quite easy to grow here in Newfoundland. It's fast growing, makes a great green manure crop if you want to dig it into the soil and improve the soil. Buckwheat also produces a seed, and if you plant it early, it'll produce mature seed that is used as a grain. It's not
okay. That sounds great.
Yeah, it's not like a cereal grain, but it can be used a similar way.
Right. It's protein rather than carbohydrate.
Yeah, and other grains, of course, like oats and barley, they do well there as well. The problem is with our climate in the fall of the year when they're maturing, then you need dry weather, and so sometimes that doesn't happen. But if you're growing it on a small scale, then you can dry it inside.
Okay, and I guess, like you said, it's good green manure. So if you couldn't end up harvesting it, you could dig it in to good benefit.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for calling.
Thanks, Janet.
Yeah.
Yeah, the food questions are so great. We're trying. Tell me if this is even possible. So right now, just from seed, we're growing perilla leaves at home. Do they so? Should that be just an indoor type of thing? Will they work outside if we're growing them?
Interesting you asked that question because perilla is the oriental grown in the Orient a lot.
Yeah,
as used in Oriental cooking, but perilla, I've got them growing now.
Okay.
I just seeded them there a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And so they'll be transplanted out into the garden.
Yeah, so that's where we are. We seeded a couple weeks ago, and this is our first foray into trying this. But because in Korean they're called ketnip, and yes, for Korean cooking. So my wife is from South Korea, and we love them, but you can't really buy them here ever. So we're just trying to grow our own. So if you're able to do it, hopefully.
Yes, I've grown them many times.
I'll be up bothering you this summer.
But have you got the green variety, or there's a purple variety as well?
I think we've got the green variety.
Right. That's easier to grow a little bit.
Yeah, the purple ones are great too, though. Yeah, because the flavor is so good with them.
Yeah, it's interesting because it has antimicrobial features about it.
Yeah.
So it was used. In Japan, in Japanese cooking, I know, to put on, if you have raw fish or if you have fish, you put it on perilla leaves.
Oh, right.
And it helps keep it fresh.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that. That's really neat. It's also, so for Korean cuisine, like if you're doing like Korean barbecue, right? So if you get your pork belly or samgyeopsal, grill that, and you've got some like lettuce, and then like a lot of times you take the meat, put it in perilla leaf, put it in lettuce, maybe dip in a bit of gochujang, so the red chili paste, and then you eat it, and it is really nice.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So good. All right. Well, thanks for that. I will update my wife. She's going to be very happy. We've got some emails coming in here. So, folks, Ross Travers is here. First gardening season on the Signal. First day, first episode for the regular season of gardening. I should say I'm Adam Walsh. And if you want to join the conversation, 709-722-7111. 1-800-563-8255. And I got requests last season to do full shows for this one, because last season we would have some folks in at the beginning. So this season, all full shows. That's what you get. You're asking for it. I'm trying to, if you ask, I will try to deliver.
Right.
And I'm just looking at the, there's a few emails. Let me see. So good to have gardening back full time, to hear the ever-inspiring and informative gardening voice of Ross. Well, thank you for that message, Denise. And you're obviously super happy that we're doing the full shows. Question. I finally have a fairly sunny spot in my backyard due to having to remove some trees. Though I've been growing flowers and shrubs for years, I've never had a vegetable garden. What can I plant to gently start a small raised bed? Also, do raised beds naturally drain? That's Denise emailing from Clarenville.
Yes. Well, raised beds are they drain much better than if it's right on the flat surface, obviously.
Yeah.
But raised beds, depends on the soil type. And of course, with improving soil for vegetables and for flowers or any cultivated plants, you really need basically three things. You need lime to neutralize the acidity in the soil. You need organic matter to improve the structure of the soil, and organic matter breaks down and releases nutrients as well. And then you need nutrients in the form of an organic source, which is manure or many other organic sources, or as a chemical source, which is fertilizer. Mm-hmm. So the nutrients have to be, and what I've observed over the years is that many gardens are starved of nutrients, not enough nutrients in the soil, and so the plants are stunted. Or if they don't have lime in the soil, then the plants will be stunted. Mm. So to have nice lush growth, you need all three things to grow a good garden, especially a vegetable garden.
Mm. So then if you're just starting out, right, like let's say Denise gets the little bit of lumber, right, smacks it together, turns the sods over, what happens next?
Yes, well, what I would do is, if there's grass there now, then you take the sod, skin the sod off, turn it upside down, and then add more soil over that, and so the sod will over the season will rot and break down.
So that's some of that organic matter that we're talking
that would be organic matter, as well as probably some nutrients as well.
What type? Here's a silly question, but again, if we're just starting, right, like Denise is saying, what type of soil are you putting in this thing? Like, what should you be buying?
I've always recommended to try and get natural topsoil that nothing has been grown in it before. Mm. If you're lucky enough where there's excavation, where the natural topsoil has been stockpiled, then if you get that without any improvement, and do the improvements yourself. Mm. Now, some of the soil mixes that you buy, you don't know what's in them really. You don't know if they're full of weeds or if there's been manure added, which is full of weeds and that sort of thing. So if you can get natural topsoil from the forest, mm-hmm. from a forested area, then you've got a good, clean start to a vegetable garden, so you don't have too much problem with weeds in it.
All right. And what are the best, like What's an easy starter package for vegetables if you're going to be planting for your first go at a raised bed?
Well, one of the fastest growing is radishes.
And they're fantastic.
Yeah.
Right? Summer radishes on a salad? Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Radish, lettuce, carrots. You can get different varieties of carrots. So you want to, sometimes with vegetables, you need to just look at the maturity date. Like for carrots, you can get small carrots that mature early in the season. And then there's peas, green peas, sugar snap peas, snow peas. These are all do well there.
Nice. All right. Denise, if you have any follow-up questions, email away or give us a call. And folks, the numbers are 709-722-7111, 1-800-563-8255. And if you are, like, let's say you had a raised bed the last few years, and like right now where we are, right, in May, early May, what should you be thinking about as you look ahead to your grow season for making sure that you're setting yourself up for success?
Well, first of all, you have to dig up the soil, and while you're doing, before you do that, spread some lime.
Yeah.
And dig that and mix it with the soil that's there.
All right, so put some lime in, right? And then and what, like let's say if you've got access to like kelp or anything like that, should you be putting that through now or wait?
Well, that's an excellent way of improving the soil. Seaweed or kelp is very, very good at supplying both the macro and micronutrients. So you have, and there's some research that suggests that seaweed or kelp stimulates the growth over and above just the basic nutrients.
And it's free.
Yes, if you're lucky enough to be live near the ocean, or if you're traveling out anywhere where kelp is piled up, then always have a few garbage bags in your vehicle to fill them up and bring back and put in your garden.
Yeah, I might know a retired couple in Culls Harbor who would be curious about this. I'm talking about my parents. So there you go, Mom and Dad. Some tips for you for your grow season. We've got Janet back on the line with a follow-up question. Janet, how you doing?
Hi. I noticed you're getting a lot of emails and texts, so I thought, well, maybe I'll call back.
Sure, of course.
So a couple things that were mentioned I have questions about. Lime, on the lime thing. Do you know anything about drywall, using leftover drywall to create some?
It can be used, but it would have to be broken up real fine. And I'd caution against using it because there's other materials that's been added to the drywall, So I'd be a bit cautious about using it. You'd be supplying calcium, but there's easier ways and better ways of doing that. But there's
often I was just thinking about repurposing some leftover material instead of it going to the landfill.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd use it, because there's other chemicals that might be toxic,
Oh, okay, so I guess that's something to find out. I'll have to dig deeper.
Yes. Yeah.
Another question I had was related to the lawn comments earlier, where you said you could turn over the sod and then put soil on that and go from there. And one thing I'm wondering, I think that was to make a garden, a vegetable garden.
Yes, or a flower garden, yes.
Yeah, if you have a lawn and it's heavily infested with goutweed, would it work to do the same and start again on top, or would you have to remove all this goutweed?
Try and remove it, which is virtually impossible unless it's screened every last little bit of root, because they.
No, I know, but
Yeah, goatweed.
It gives life meaning, though. Like you could be at this till the end of time. So
if you're not opposed to using chemical Roundup, then that works beautifully on goatweed. It'll kill it, the roots and all.
Yeah, I'm not really open to that. I try various different things, and if nothing else, I guess it's an ongoing source of entertainment.
Well, of course, you can always try and smother it with a black plastic.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
sometimes you can get this. You can get the plastic covering that goes over lumber at a lumber yard, and it's got cuts out the light, and so that can be used to smother out. But that's going to take 3 or 4 months to kill it.
Oh yeah, no, I don't mind passing, waiting. The other thing I've tried similar to that has worked out is when I'm taking it out of other places, I put it in black garbage bags and just leave them in a corner and forget about them for a couple of years.
Yes.
And they yield pretty nice material.
Yes, that's right. But that's a long-term project.
Oh yeah. Well, I guess we'll need to slow down. Good. Anyway, thank you very much. That's helpful.
Thanks, Janet.
Bye.
And I will say, so Ross, on Facebook, there's a goutweed support group. It's got 6,000 members.
No.
and the picture is a person with a flamethrower. It is the best thing. And for all, I think still had someone on the line there. I do think that for all of you folks in the support group, I mean, feel free to give us a call. Also, you know, as the old joke goes, if you have goutweed, you might have to just move, right? So there you are. We got a bunch of questions in over email, so we'll try to, we have 14 minutes left to the show here. This inaugural, this kickoff to the gardening season here on the Signal. Let me see. We've got one from Joan. Good to hear Ross on the radio again. Yes, I agree, Joan. Thanks for that. Last year, Joan says, I planted shallot onion seeds and scallion spring onion seeds in 2 separate beds. Each bed had good soil and compost. In each case, the seeds were twice planted. First time, nothing appeared. The shallots grew like scallions and did not develop the expected below-ground onion, and the scallions grew very thin, spread like shoots with no further development. What do you suggest I do this year for better results? That's from Joan.
Well, you can buy the bulbs of shallots and most of the members of the onion family, you can buy the little bulbs that have already been grown 1 year, and then you plant them, and that's a lot better than seed. Although I grow them from seed, but you have to start them in April, and then transplant them into the garden in around the end of May.
Start in April. It is May 7th. We're a little late.
Yeah, yeah, because they. And then there's you want to do a check on the varieties too, because there's different varieties of these, and some varieties of shallots, for instance, will mature a lot earlier than others.
Right. So check those.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We've got an email in. A product called Fiesta, iron-based, is available. For dandelion control is the subject. A product called Fiesta, iron-based, is available at Eastern Chemicals. It is a liquid that has to be mixed with water and sprayed on the grass. It also enhances grass growth. Thanks. It's a note from Tony.
Yeah, it works to some extent.
Yeah,
but not 100% kill or 100% control. It's iron chelate is the chemical,
right?
And it can work, but it's you had to follow the directions very carefully.
All right. Here's one from David Coleman. Hi, Ross. Just wondering, what vegetable seeds can be planted in the ground this time of year?
Of course, spinach, Most of the members of the cabbage family, the cruciferae, now is no problem. That's like broccoli, cauliflower, turnip.
All the hardy stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, fresh spinach. Great.
Yeah.
Let me see. As bear with me, folks, as I continue to work my way through the emails and texts that are coming in here today. Okay, here's another one. Perennial suggestions. This one from Daryl. I have a long rock wall about 2 feet high down the edge of my property. What would be a tall, colorful perennial to plant along the wall? Any suggestions?
There's so many different varieties of or types of perennials. But sedum is a good one. It's there's different varieties of sedum, and so you can get different colors, different heights, that sort of thing. If you want color all year long, then you need a perennial that like the perennial geraniums, for instance. I've seen some nice examples of low-growing perennial geraniums that give you color not only from the flowers but from the leaves as well.
Okay, excellent. Here's a question about hill erosion. I have a newly excavated property with a hill on the back. What would be the best seed to spread on the gravelly hill to stop or lessen the rain erosion on? I also have an allergy to timothy grass. Is there any specific type of grass seed that would not be as aggravating on the timothy grass allergy? And that's from George.
Well, white clover is once it's established, it's good permanent ground cover. But the problem is on a steep slope is getting it established. So you want to make sure that you're not going to get you want a little ditch at the top of the slope so that the water doesn't erode the soil and the seed when it's planted. The thing that I recommend usually for slopes is to plant in some woody shrubs rather than low-growing plants, because low-growing plants weeds can easily get established.
Yeah.
Whereas if you use something like ground cover roses or shrubs that spread by underground shoots, and once they get established, they smother out everything because they're tall and they don't let the light in, and so then you got a good permanent, colorful ground cover. But and the other thing about planting with taller woody shrubs is that you don't notice the slope once it grows up.
Right.
You don't even notice that there's a slope there.
We got Sylvia on the line from Portugal Cove. Hi.
Hi there. How are you today?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. So, Ross, I had a quick question for you. I think that it was brought up earlier in the show that moss was something that people were trying to get rid of, but I find it absolutely stunning. And so my question really is, how can I actually establish it as the most prominent ground covering and almost replace the lawn if possible? And yeah, I hear it's not easy to seed, so I was wondering if you could provide some guidance there.
Yes. Well, you can transplant it from the wild, no problem. The only thing is you don't want to desecrate one site to establish it on another site. So you just take out square foot sods of the moss, and that will get established in the new location, and the other area will fill in as long as there's moss left there. So it can easily be transplanted, and then there's so many different species of moss that you want to pick out the ones that you, as far as the color is concerned, or as far as the height is concerned.
there a particular moss that does well when there's full sun exposure compared to others? Is there any particular specimen that you would suggest?
Yes, well, anything that you see that's in open, in full sun now, then it should be no problem.
Right. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks for the call, Sylvia. I too love moss. So great questions from Sylvia there, calling from Portugal Cove. Wondering, go out, get don't, like you said, don't go take all the moss from an area, but go get some and transplant it. Maybe go somewhere else, get some more.
Yeah, I had some beautiful species of moss growing in a shaded area on my steps, and one of the fellows that was working with us at the time, he said, I cleaned up your steps.
Oh, no. Like, what? Why would you don't touch anything? That's amazing. Yeah, thanks for that. Fantastic. Denise in Clarenville had a question, a follow-up question about the raised beds. Quick follow-up, how soon can I sow my seeds?
Anytime now.
Yeah. Yep. It's time.
Yep.
Get at it. I mean, like I said, we're trying ours for the first time, so I will be updating that through this season on our Perla leaves and for anything else that we're at. Also, we've got a note from Fred Scanes here just saying, spinach, chards, and kale's kale easy to grow too.
Yes, that's right.
Only a couple minutes left. I think I've worked my way through the list here for this first gardening day. A couple texts. Second question from earlier. I would actually love to have more moss in my garden, but my understanding is not an easy thing to establish. Is there a method, seeding, to help establish moss as the most prominent lawn-covering plant? So we just answered that with the call. Transplanting, go get some.
That's right, yes.
Don't take it all from an area.
No, and if you mow the grass real close, you can be sure that the moss is going to move in.
Yeah.
Because don't compete with the grass.
And the last question, I think, have you had any success in growing hydrangea from cuttings and adding a growth hormone to Newfoundland rather than buying full hydrangea plants?
Yes, it's they can be rooted fairly easy.
Yeah.
But the one thing with the easiest way is if you know of an existing hydrangea or have a place where you can layer them, bend over a branch, cover it with soil, and it will root and easily transplant it then.
So we've got one indoors, and the last couple of years flowered really nicely. 0 so far this year. What should we do do I hit it with a stick? Or what should I do?
I'd put it outside.
Put it outside.
Put it outside now and see how it grows over the summer.
Yeah.
They may not be winter hardy.
Yeah.
But you might have to pot it up and bring it inside in the winter.
So now when I put it outside, keep it in a pot or just plant it or transplant it somewhere?
Easiest way of maintaining them is to put it right in the soil.
Put it in the soil. Okay.
Yeah, you can put it in a pot, but of course you're watering all the time then.
Yes, that is something that we have been doing. So, all right, I will do that and update you on it because it's. I really like hydrangea. They're one of my it's just that this.
Oh yeah.
And I know you get.
And nowadays there's first when we started out. Geez, there was hardly any of these new varieties. Now there's lots of new varieties of hydrangea.
Yeah, no, and again, like one of those fantastic plants that's just the time of year here. Once we get into with the hydrangea, when they're out, it's just the lovely season. Or typically, unless it's one of those years where summer says no thanks.
Right.
We're out of time, pretty much.
Oh.
Thanks for the first one.
Well, thanks, Adam. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, no, it's always fun hanging out, and I'll find out. We'll look at this sked, because I got to come up when the rotos are out of your place to have a chat.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, sir, thank you, and we'll have you back now within the next few weeks, and I'll update you folks, but gardening season is back every Tuesday up until we get frost and we can't grow anymore.
Yeah, and if you go to your local nurseries, in many cases you can get good, reliable answers about what to do.
Exactly. There's the last tip for today. And coming up, looking ahead to tomorrow, Ross Travers, thank you very much. Looking ahead to tomorrow It's Asian Heritage Month in Canada. This year's theme, Preserving the Past, Embracing the Future, Amplifying Asian Canadian Legacy. Well, guess what? Tomorrow on the show, we've got folks from the local Chinese community coming in to talk about that, from Chinese Canadian multi-generational families to newcomers. We're going to talk about all of it tomorrow on The Signal. Do not miss it. Thank you for listening. We will catch you later.